गुड इवनिंग एंड वेलकम टू गन शॉट। गन शॉट में आप सबका स्वागत है। टुडे वी आर गोइंग टू टॉक अबाउट India's rise and military modernization. And then I'll talk a little bit about China and then the open house, or the first open house of this year. But before I get on to the open house and things like that, I'd like to clarify a few issues. Of late, people have been calling me a congressy. People have been calling me a buck. People have been calling me left, right, but not the center. I like to reiterate at the beginning of the year, I will be absolutely Indian. I would like to reiterate also that I put on the uniform of the Indian Army in 1977, and I will be true to it to serve India. It doesn't matter me which politician is in power or not. So there will be times when I would be putting out podcasts which seem to be to the right. There would be some times which the podcast will be seeming to the right, left. But that's part of life. You have to be balanced. So don't jump. And those of you who don't like what I'm speaking, you're welcome to leave. And like someone has said, I'm not discouraged, but I'm trying to make certain things very clear. Second, I believe in fact based discussion and fact based analysis. This is not a media channel for reporting news. If you see, I don't do breaking news and all that nonsense. I take facts as they come, wait over them, and talk. They're not glamorous. They're not meant to be glamorous, right? They're meant to be facts. And based on those facts, you take a call. I'll do my analysis. You take a call, whether it's right or wrong. And I give full, you know, leeway to anyone to comment whatever he wants. And I take on a lot of questions. Uh, that's how it is. It has to be interactive. And I'd like to make national security a democratic way of doing things. I'm getting it to you. It's probably no one else has done earlier. And this has been told to me by many people, and I'm very convinced about it. Okay, that be that. First off, let me start today by talking about India's rights and military modernization. There's nothing new I'm going to talk, but it's a reiteration of what we need to focus on. These days, everyone talks a lot. China comes out with a fifth generation or a sixth generation aircraft. तो हवाई जहाज उड़ाया एक. We don't know the atapata of that. So there's a reaction. He announces that he has to make a dam. There's a reaction. Pakistan does something silly. There's a reaction. National security is not reactionary. Military modernization is not reactionary. You need to have a fundamental plan on which you have to move ahead. It has to support your rise. Certain course corrections have to be made, we'll make. Don't worry. So let me explain these issues slowly. But look at this. For all those who don't believe ourselves. This is from Guancha again. Hardcore nationalist newspaper of or the news portal of China. What is they say? This is the English translation. The original is in Chinese. He says, if successful, India will join the ranks of China, Russia, and the United States. What is this he's talking of? On 31st evening, there was a launch, space launch. It goes, and this space launch is going to test out the docking of two spacecraft. And that docking is required for manned missions. And the docking capability is required for a space station later on. They say, and this is coming from Guancha, and they are analyzing it, that after Russia, China, and USA, India is the fourth. So you are the fourth power, damn it. We have to believe that. They'll never tell it to you. And I'll talk about it a little later. They'll never tell it on your face. But it's there. It's there for the taking. Okay. And then let me also say a lot of comments against what has happened. India doesn't know it, you know, that back hole from its elbow and things like that. Right? So let's see what the comments, some comments are there which are very interesting on this thing. What the first comment? He says, don't, this, whoever it is, he says, don't judge India by our standards. The country is different. It is as absurd to say that India can only succeed by taking the Chinese path, just as saying that China can only succeed by taking the American path. Practice has proved that in addition to the road in the West, there is also a road in China. But these are not the only two roads on the earth. What a profound statement he's made. He's telling us, he's telling many of us, don't copy China. And India doesn't need to copy China. India does not need to do everything China does, just as China is not doing everything which USA is doing. We have to do it as per our conditions and our circumstances. And that the Chinese is telling and pointing out that India is doing it the Indian way. When will we learn? Okay. The next comment is also interesting. He says, have you ever been to India? Look at this. He says, have you ever been to India? Have you seen its development in recent years? Never underestimate the enemy. So here is this man who says, Chinese. He says, India is your enemy. Don't underestimate them. Have a look at what's happening there. Why are we not confident of handling China? Don't worry about that fifth, sixth generation. We'll talk about that also. Okay. What next? Let's now look at it. If you extend what the Chinese are saying, isn't this true? That the globe is now dominated by four powers? Today, this is yesterday's or day before yesterday's article. The docking experiment is going to take place on 7th. Let's hope. Let's keep our fingers crossed that it succeeds. Even if it doesn't succeed, it doesn't matter. Life won't end. We'll do it again. Like we did the Chandrayaan landing again. But we'll do it. But we'll still be the fourth power who has tried docking. There's no fifth power who has tried. And that means that, look, you are at one of the big powers. And this, I want to remind again, is from the Chinese. This is not my concept. This is a Chinese concept. This picture is a Chinese concept. Put out 2 years back. I keep showing it. Under normal conditions, you'll never see this, or never will anyone say that India is a power. For why? We'll come to that. I am very clear. If that is translated into this quadrilateral, this is the way it is. And I've been showing this quadrilateral from a long time. There is repulsion in all four corners between, right, except the Russia India attraction. That won't change. The diagonal is iffy. That is, though there is attraction, there is iffiness in this. We need to understand this. Okay. There is just no doubt in my mind, and it should not be there in your mind, that India is emerging as a global balancing power. China's writing indicates to me that, look, they say that why is China worried that we are with USA? Because if you are with USA, China is out of balance and Russia becomes neutral. You are with China, USA becomes imbalanced. We have great weight. We need to understand it. It's not. Hence, be prepared for a multi-level containment. China will try to contain you. USA will try to contain us. There's no doubt about it. At some level, even Russia will. They won't like India to be so big that tomorrow it tells Russia sorry on an incident or something like that. So they'll not, while they will be 90% good with us, they'll hold back on 10% or maybe even more. So what's the answer for this? You need to rise on your own steam. And we have done that for a long time. Our rise is not going to be easy at all. But we as a nation cannot lose faith. We have our history behind us and we should be proud of it. Look, I have always said that India's rise is unstoppable. Take the case of Germany, Japan, and China. Germany and Japan, in fact, all three of them were aided economies. They've had tremendous peace dividend. Germany and Japan have not fought after the Second World War. Their economies were completely restructured and reconstructed by America and the West. But largely America. They were enabled to come back. China, we all know that it was USA who created China what it is today. It gave technology, it gave everything, invested into China, made friends with China, and brought them up. That is why they are the number 2, 3, and 4 economies in the world. They'll never be number 1. China can try what it wants, it will never be number 1. Because the number 1 economy, USA, give credit. They know what they're doing. But let's look at India. We've always been an opposed economy by everyone, including USA. Till 2010, we were not strategic partners. They were in the opposite camp. They did nothing for us. Okay, we know that. It's only an off late that things are changing. Even in that, there are problems. Before the slide ends, I will take it out. We've had wars. We've had wars in 47, 48. Just a couple of months after our independence. For 1 year, it went on. 62, a humiliating defeat. 65, we had to fund that war by not eating for one meal on Monday. That was what Lal Bahadur Shastri ji said. I remember as a child, I never used to eat. 71, we had a great victory, but at what cost? And then we've jailoed the proxy war. We've jailoed Kargil and we've jailoed Eastern Ladakh. all these wars we have come out well, except the 62. But 62 had a salutary effect on the country. We invested, and in a short time of 3 years, we were able to defeat Pakistan. But through all these years, we kept rising. No one could, it could not be stopped. Just imagine if these wars had not been there, where would we have been? Then we had fight insurgencies, Northeast, Punjab, Kashmir. We are still fighting them. Drugs, left-wing extremism. I have not put it. We were under multiple sanctions. MTCR, nuclear tests, denied technology. Till date, no one has given you any technological assistance. It's our own technology which has helped us. Space, missiles. I know. I was in the missile development program. No one gave us anything. Yet we progressed. And then multiple narratives which are coming out. India is a poor country. India is a useless country. India is non-democratic. We are doing coups in others areas. All kinds of narratives are coming out today. Why? Containing us. Despite all this, we have grown. We have battled natural disasters, earthquakes, glacial outbursts, storms, devastating storms. We need to be proud of what we have gone through. Riots, ethnic riots, religious riots. We've gone through a lot of things. And yet, we are today talking that in 5 years we'll be the third largest economy. If this is not being a power, what is? And yet, after all this, people trust us. People don't trust others. They trust India. There's a lot to be proud of. Let's talk of security. I keep saying this is my favorite thing. Are the Indian armed forces modern enough to defend India? The answer is unequivocally yes. We have experienced armed forces. We are on our own for space technology, nuclear technology, or missile program, shipbuilding we have, gun technology today you have, aircraft technology you have, right, and communications technology you have. You have all this. We shouldn't denigrate what we have. With all what we've had, we are one of the few armies which has never been defeated. When I say army, armed forces, the combined might of our armed forces has pushed China back from the LAC. Now, it has never happened with any other country. Never. I keep repeating it. You look at China in the context of Korea, the context of Vietnam, in the context of us in 62, in the context of South China Sea and Hong Kong. It either went to teach everyone a lesson or taken a step and not taken it back. In this case, they've gone back and they've been taught a lesson. They've learned a lesson and gone back from India. Why are we not confident of that? Right? At the same time, I am also very clear of this. Are the Indian armed forces modern enough for a regional power which is destined to be the third largest economy shortly? The answer is not yet. We need technology. You need internal strength. You need Atmanirbharta. A lot of things. I'll discuss only a few. First, we need to learn from others' wars. Look at what's happened. US, Russia, Israel, and China. Look at their wars against Taliban, Ukraine, Hamas, and India. Look at it. In all these cases, the stronger forces, technologically better forces, have struggled against seemingly weaker forces. This is the man behind the machine. Otherwise, how will USA get defeated by Taliban or in the earlier generation by Vietnamese? See how Russia is suffering against Ukraine. You think it has won, Russia? I don't think so. It might have an upper hand, but it has not won. Look at Israel, the cost it is paying. It has broken Hezbollah. It has broken, Iran. It is in the process of breaking Houthis, but Hamas is still a tough nut for it. Look at China. I just quoted. China has never gone back 15 kilometers after breaking its own bunkers over a 3-year period. Let's learn from what we have achieved. You see the continuum of China-India conflict from 62. 62, yes, we lost. What happened in Sikkim? What happened in Doklam? What happened in Eastern Ladakh? What happened in Kailash Range? If you look at all this, huge change. There's something we have never lost to the Chinese. We can keep cribbing, we don't have this, we don't have that, X, Y, Z. And you have to understand, war is a human endeavor. It is not an endeavor by drones and aircraft and navies and all. It's a human endeavor. And in our case, when you have 32,000 kilometers of contact, don't think that China will come with missiles, and fire and they can defeat us. No country can do that. You have to fight on terrain, on Mother Earth. Chinese find it difficult. And that is why they went back. There are other reasons, but I'll talk of that on a separate episode. We need to analyze China, especially in the face of the fact that they're trying to build a dam on Brahmaputra, and they've named that county Aksai Chin as their county or part of Xinjiang. In fact, I've already done a video on that. Why is this happening? Day after tomorrow, please see. All members can see it immediately. I've made it open for members. The rest, Monday morning, 8 o'clock, it will be on. You can have a look at it. When you talk of modernization, you need balanced modernization. There are two aspects to this. You need modernization and capability enhancement, which are consistent to be a regional power, not a global power. Because you can only afford what you can be a regional power. And for that, you don't have to have the scale and size of what China is trying. And we should not be losing time tested capabilities. That will, if you lose those time tested capabilities, your military power will get degraded. What are the things? This is the unfortunate part when I'm going to talk of. This slide has not changed. I have not been able to add a sentence to it or reduce a sentence from this. When I was, recasting this whole story, you need adequate funding. That's the first thing. And with the funding in your defense budgets, we need to know how to spend it. We don't know how to spend it. You need to have the ability to spend it. We can't. And what to spend on? We don't have that clarity. Every day in the social media, everyone talks what he wants. Ye karo, wo karo. Some fellow comes and says, why is India not giving snow boots to soldiers? Oh, I don't know where he dreamt without knowing. And many more. Don't get onto the social media and start, talking without knowing. Don't start getting. I see paid people. I see a pattern. Why are you not taking this gun? Why are you not taking that missile? That particular industry has done well. We are not buying that. All generals want to go and buy from outside. These are all, lot of social media is now paid. Paid tweets, paid articles coming out. Not only social media, even mainstream media, agenda driven. Forcing the armed forces to buy what they have, whether it is good, bad, or ugly. That's not correct. And to look through this cobwebs, I come up with this. And more than anything, I have an interest. I'm invested into making India stronger in technology. And then you need structural modernization. The MOD needs to be modernized and restructured. I have no doubt about it. For whatever reason, the powers that be in India are sleeping over it. There's too much centralization with no delegation. We've been hearing about theatre commands for a long time. We've not made a decision on it. Your outlook on modernization has to be clear. And that outlook should permeate right from the Prime Minister to the last Jawan. Is it there? I don't think so. And my interaction suggests it's not there. We should be having civil military fusion. Civil military fusion is the requirement of the government, not the armed forces. It is the requirement of the nation, not the Indian Army, Navy, or Air Force. It is a requirement of every industry which is producing anything. And then you need technology. You need the technology which can win us wars, not the latest technology. The best technology is that technology which enables you to win a war. Many cases, the latest technology will not enable winning a war. I have no doubts about it. And every battlefield has an amount of technology it can take. And if that threshold is crossed, that technology is useless. It doesn't matter what has gone into that technology. Similarly, every battlefield requires a special technology. If that technology is not there, it doesn't matter what other technology you have. And both these put together have to suit your man on ground. Are we thinking like this? Is there a need to think like this? Of course. The day we can stop aren't thinking like this, I'm sure things will change. We need to. Then there is a requirement of military diplomacy. If you want to become a power, you need to be militarily. Your military diplomacy has to function on all four cylinders. Normal diplomacy is inadequate. Our external affairs ministry has to expand, and our defense diplomacy has to expand. You need a huge quotient of military diplomacy. Just our diplomats are the best, but they're constrained by the fact that they don't have the backing of the army. They don't have the backing of the ministry. The external affairs minister and the defense minister have to be on the same page, along with the Ministry of Home and Ministry of Finance. That's the big four. Are they? You need your equipment modernized in adequate quantity. No country can have 100% fresh equipment. Why? Because if you have 100% fresh equipment today, after the lifetime of that, you need to change a thing 100%. It's always 30, 30, 30 or 30, 40, 30. 30 being inducted, 40 having inducted, stable, 30 being de-inducted. If you read what the PLA is doing, it's exactly doing the same thing. And then you need strategic communication. Space-based, terrestrial-based, fiber optics, the works in a big manner. Horizontal, vertical linkages. I thought I'll reiterate all this. Like I said earlier, don't lose existent capacities. I'll give you an example. We wanted to switch to electronic fuses. There were two firms. The negotiations were on to give both the firms orders. So some bright spark said, now that we are going in and we're going to close in on one of these firms or both the firms, let's close the mechanical fuses. So the mechanical fuse line was closed. Lo and behold, within 2 years, we didn't have ammunition. We had to run around. And then we reopened the mechanical fuse line. We worked because those two chaps who were supposed to get the orders never got it. End of story. So we created new people to give us electronic fuses. Now we have electronic fuses and mechanical fuses, and we are doing well. Same thing for bimodular charge systems and propellants and things like that. I'll give you again example. We say we want 155 guns. All those need a special type of propellant that was being imported. As you kept increasing your number of 155s, you need to import more. So we set up a factory. That factory went into legal problems. and it's been lying close for the past 20 years. But we used other capacities and started, we came out with the indigenous model of the propellant through DRDO and OFB and all that. Initially, they were fighting. Because they were fighting, we were not getting what we wanted. I know this because I went through this. Got them on one platform, made it happen. Today, we are getting indigenous and some from foreign also. You should not close that line. What happens? Something happens to your indigenous line and it breaks down. You should have something from, where will you get it from? No one will give you. We can't be like Ukraine. And the experience of Ukraine, what's happening in South China Sea, what's happening in Israel, should teach us not only losing existing capacities, you should build on existing capacities. Is there a case for us to have overcapacitized but less production? Have a capacity for 100, say, rounds of ammunition, but produce only 30, and produce 30 from that 100 capacity, keep the capacity going, keep training, keep reservists in all these sectors who can work on some other job when not needed. When needed, get him. Maybe somewhere for 3 months he comes, makes ammunition and goes back. Can we have that kind of civil military cooperation? That is what is required. You can't keep making so much ammunition in one go. Again, you make all the ammunition, make good all the ammunition in one day. One day, all that ammunition you'll have to dump. Need to have ramp up gradually. Have we been doing it? Of course, we have been doing it. In some manner. Maybe they're shortcomings. So what if? Then this is probably the crux politico-military equation. Look, the political hierarchy and the military leadership are mandated to ensure that our nation is defended. It's not the bureaucrat. But somehow in our country, the bureaucrat comes in between Babuji, who अपना लेख लेके आ जाता है, and he drags the whole system down. He's not responsible. If tomorrow the nation loses, you will ask the chief of army staff or the Pradhan Mantri कि भैया आपने क्या किया, आप जाओ वोट कर दोगे, बट ये ब्यूरोक्रेट का क्या करेगा? Is there a thing which we have to? This is the restructuring which you need in the MOD. Agnivir scheme, very noble in intent, poor in concept, needs modification. I've been saying this from the day the scheme came in. Yeah, I still maintain it. Sometime in Haryana elections time, they said no, we'll modify it and all. Now that Haryana elections has gone, khatam. Let me also put it. This government is doing a disservice to the nation by continuing with this Agnivir scheme. I made a statement. Now you tell me I'm a Congressy or a rightist or a leftist or a centrist or a nationalist or an Indian. Right. I'll now give a small update of China. Very interesting things. So that we know where China is and what to expect out of this country in the times ahead. This is, I just picked up today in the news. They're worried that Vietnam will get BrahMos after Philippines, which means India's security role in Southeast Asia is expanding. We keep saying that China's security footprint in India is expanding because they give arms to Pakistan, they give arms to Bangladesh, and all that, and even Sri Lanka. Are we doing less? Till 3 years back, we were not up for defense export as a national policy. Now you started. So let's expand on this. Let's expand your security footprint in Middle East where you can upstage many armies completely. The same thing in Southeast Asia. And I'll give you an example. One of our multinationals went to a country to sell a big ticket item. They quoted, whatever. And I was speaking to the executive. So he said, sir, very hesitantly हमने quote किया, उसको दुगना किया और उसके ऊपर भी पैसा लगाया और हमने quote किया. हम डर रहे थे. We were scared that we will not get the order. So that country with whom they went and started speaking, they took the quote, had a look at it, and gave the order without negotiation. They asked, "Are you sure this is the price?" This chap said, "Yes, this is the price." They were still worried. Those chaps said, "Yes, take it, take the order." Later, these chaps realized that others, these great countries, were skimming them for 3 or 4 times that. Yeah. So you have a lot of scope. Use it. Now everyone says AI, China, yeah, all that. PLA has said, they have told we are not worried, we are not confident of AI. So the PLA might not use AI, which China produces, for its thing. They said, look, sab kuch theek hai. Decision has to be human. Interesting trend lines. And here we say, no, AI. We have to rethink AI. I've said this earlier also. Now, Chinese banks can lend. This is per Ekai Global. He says, can now lend up to 90% for stock buybacks via re-lending facility. I mean, you have to understand this. You have to see beyond what is written. What is it? It means the Chinese banks can lend money to people to buy back stocks, to companies to buy back stocks. Why? Because the share prices are falling. If those stocks are not bought back by the companies, they can't stabilize the stock prices. That's why they're being given money to stabilize the stock prices. Why is no one buying? Because the Chinese people are not buying. The Chinese people, whatever they're earning, they're not spending on consumer articles. They're not buying stocks. They're buying some gold, and largely they're putting their money in the banks. And they're not refusing. They're refusing to take it out. So what the banks are doing, they're giving money taken from the Chinese people is being now given to the private companies to buy their stock back. So ultimately, everything is going down to that man. If tomorrow that company fails, that man is left without his money because the bank will fail. It's a tight situation, and this comes from a very, very reputed platform, economic platform of China. In this Caxton, very interesting article. This in maternity wards are latest victim of China's falling birth rate. Till yesterday, we said that kindergartens are closing. Today, maternity wards in hospitals are closing. Just think, there's a new reality. What are you talking? China's superpower? There's no bloody superpower here. Can you think of a country which doesn't have children, or rather, it doesn't have uncles, aunties? I keep saying. Plus, it doesn't have kindergartens. It doesn't have maternity wards. What a lopsided country. And then, of course, Yikai says their factory activity is reduced. And he's quoted Caxon. This country is in a deep hole. It's not going to come out. Caxon says new economy industry takes a hit as capital inputs tumble. What is new economy? Which Xi Jinping keeps saying, new productive forces, new economy, new technology. All value-added services are hitting the dust. This is hardcore Chinese economy portals. They're talking like this. You see how you read this Chinese thing? You read through. There'll be 10 articles which say very good things about China. But there'll be those 2, 3 articles which tell the truth. Let's go. This is it. And there's a newsletter. It's called the Kobesi newsletter. I don't know what, I saw it in Twitter. What he says is China's 10-year government bond yield has hit an all-time low. Here, it's here at the bottom. Okay? It's going down. In USA, it's going up. And the funny part is, USA is dealing with inflation, China is dealing with deflation. And this is fact. This is not, these are all international figures or international data. So no one's going to buy Chinese bonds. No one buys Chinese bonds. They'll even China doesn't get money. How does government get money? It borrows from the market by issuing bonds out, long-term bonds, short-term bonds. Even you and I can go and buy bonds from Reserve Bank of India. That is what funds the government exchequer. Now China's 10-year bonds are going down means that bonds are value is going down. It tells you a lot of things that stimulus is failing XYZ. So I thought I'll give a short update on China. Just a very short. I just picked it up half an hour back. I sat down. I said, "What's interesting?" Right. So I've done for the day as far as whatever I had to speak, and now I'll take a few questions from all of you, and then we'll see where it goes. Yeah. Mark Welber, thanks a lot for your contribution. I see that you are from UK and you give certain very caustic comments, and you seem to be a communist. It's not as if communists are confined to China only, after all, worldwide. You have to understand India. I think you don't understand India. I don't know your age, I don't know your background, I don't know nothing, but what you comment indicates to me that you don't understand India. Let me tell you, the Chinese understand India better. They know what India is. So that's how it is. I'll take your questions on also. Yeah, thanks a lot. Never found you politically leaning anywhere. People are hallucinating. That's okay, but people do. So I thought I must clarify it again. Sir, it shall always be Satyameva Jayate. I agree with you. Truth always wins. Truth has its own power, which people don't understand. Yeah. We have food, we'll buy influence with it. There's no doubt about it. Uh, are we actually sending some huge quantities of rice to Indonesia due to famine there, or we purposely inflating figures to somehow scare Bangladesh that we have all? No, no. What we do with like what Manivannan said. We have food and we'll buy influence with it. It's a bit of both. I've understood that the tech differential between us and China doesn't matter that much yet in Himalayas. But we can't rest on that. How do we improvise a technologically superior enemy? There is a lot. Don't worry. Again, I said there's a lot. We don't have to. You know, fight. Technology doesn't fight. People fight. People are the ingredients of war. Technology is a tool. If you don't have one tool, use another. Use your brains. That's the way to go about it. With the expressions coming out of USA, both right and left, it would appear they are running wild and hitting out in an uncoordinated fashion. Their continued leadership is. I will not say that their leadership is questionable because I don't see anyone else taking over their role. Right? Let's be very clear. While we can be biased against USA, we don't like USA. That's okay. But we have to recognize the reality. Just have to recognize the reality of a strong China which is crumbling. And these two are the big nations in the world. So, but like I said, expect antagonism from all of them at some point of time. The West will be antagonistic with you. So will China. Learn to handle it.